Don't go anywhere, mom. Don't go anywhere. Stay. 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 Anybody here? Hello, hello. Are you guys here? Somebody acknowledge me. Somebody acknowledge me. Hold on. Let's see. I'm here. I'm here. I don't know if mom left. Let me text her if she already left. Mom, are you still here? Yeah. Yes, I'm a half hour late. Hold on. I'm gonna. You guys just have to bear with me. I. So I told you about the interview um, that I was supposed to do with that high school teacher in Texas, right? Told you about that. It was supposed to be on February 7th, but it didn't happen. I don't know. He just forgot or something. And so we rescheduled to the 21st. And then here today's the 21st, and it comes, and I'm like, well, I haven't heard back from him. So I just kind of going about my day thinking, he was not going to do it. And I was all scheduled to meet with you guys and hang out here. And I was literally making an egg salad sandwich for my daughter for lunch. And I look at my phone and I get an email. It was like 7:23 Pacific time. He's like, come into the Zoom. And I'm like, okay. So I just finished that interview. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry, you guys. I was like, I was gonna be like, well, maybe I can step out of that interview and jump over here and talk to you guys and then go back over there. I'm like, he was asking good questions. You know me when I get going. You can't stop me. Can't stop me from blabbering. So there's the update. I just did a great interview with Mike Cunningham and his class. And so here I am. Don't worry, I'm here. And I had at the last minute to tell Zeke to do Bible every morning, like the weekend version. I hope that came off. I hope he was able to do that. I got to turn my work computer on real quick, so hold on. So I'm gonna double task here. I'm gonna give you guys half an hour of me, but it's a little disorganized. I can update you guys. Let's see. This microphone needs to be over here. I'm gonna face this way. What's going on? Oh, so the physical copies of the book. So the digital copies are available. If none of you guys have gotten, I know because I can look and see who's purchased. Carrie has purchased the book. Carrie, did you get your digital copy? Did you get that email? I don't know if there's a delay here, but because there was an email that went out that everybody that paid to get a copy, that paid a certain amount, like the digital copy is like $25. The physical copy was $50. And some people paid $100 because I said if you pay $100, then a physical copy of the book is given to somebody who can't afford it. Right? We'll build that up. So, Carrie, maybe if you go in your, let me look. In your, sometimes it goes into junk mail. And if you guys want to get your digital copy, right now it's available at Project Justice, projectjustice.info. And soon it'll be available at assassinsaint.com. But right now it's at projectjustice.info. And let me see. I got where is it? I got oh, that's in a different group text. Hold on. Carrie, because everybody who gave also had to put their email address down. I don't want, let's see. I'm not going to show you this because this is people's email address. Carrie, what does your email address start with? You don't have to give me the whole email address, but give me like the first 3 or 4 letters of the email address that you would have used. Oh, I don't think I have a complete list. There's more on this list. Man after my own heart. Always busy, easily sidetracked. All right. So the digital copy of the book is available. Let's see. Come on, come on. Oh shoot. All right. I don't have access to it right now, right this second, but I recall seeing so I will reach out to my guy and make sure it's been sent to you. But it might be in your junk mail coming from Assassin Saint, I think. The digital copy is available. So if you guys go to um, projectjustice.info, you'll see, that's kind of the basic website for the Solmentarian stuff. You'll see a link to the interview I did on Mer Herosner. And right below that link, right, like it's a full screenshot of the interview. But right below that, you'll see a button that says donate, it says PayPal. Everybody who goes to that button right now, it'll be different eventually, but you go right now, and if you donate $25, you will get the digital copy, and if it's $50, you will get a physical copy. Those physical copies are just approved. We're getting 100 made, right? I don't have enough money to get more than 100 made, right? Everybody who paid, that money is going toward this batch of books. We'll get 100 made, and we'll make more money off of that. We'll get 200 or 1,000, or when the next investor comes in, we'll get a bunch made. But we're getting physical copies made. It's only going to be 100. So if you want to get a copy of the first printing, first 100, go to projectjustice.info, PayPal donate $50 at least to get your own physical copy there. Okay, so you got it, February 10th. Good, you found it. Excellent. So our system is working. You guys are helping troubleshoot. We're building, like, my guy who's building the website. He's having to build the store mechanism. I want to get the big book. Where do I send that? Well, I think you've already paid if you paid $50 or more, you're going to get the physical copy. We'll be contacting you when they're printed, and they might be printed by next week. And so we'll send those out. We'll reach out to you guys, make sure we get your mailing addresses and get them to you. That'll be an extra expense, but we'll figure it out. You will get it. If you've already. Oh, that one. Did you give $500? Because I didn't see $500 in there. If you donate $500, you're getting in fact, I'm going to make. I was just having this conversation yesterday. Gosh, Zavin, Sogelman's son, passed away 2 weeks ago. With that event, the value of those books went up, right? Those are a rare collector's item. I mean, they have whatever value I assign to them, but eventually, and so I did say they're $500, but I will, if you're going to give $500 for one of those, you already committed, you already said that. So I will honor that $500 amount. It's essentially the same book you'll get for $50, but it's one of the prototypes. It's a little different because it hasn't been completely properly formatted. Like the actual books will be formatted a little differently, and that's what gives prototypes extra value, right? They're an early copy, so there's some things that aren't in the final copy. There's fixes, some errors, and like the spine, the prototype, the autographed one, the collector's item one, the $500 one, the spine, it doesn't have the spine that the other book will have, and it has Zavin's autograph in it, and then I'll be autographing it before I send it, right? So I'm gonna honor the $500 rate, right? And you'll be, there's only 25 of these books, and 2 of them belong to the family. One of them I gave to a very important collaborator, and one of them I'm keeping for myself. So that leaves 21 of them, and 3 of those are special. So that leaves only 18 that that are at that $500 rate. So, well, you could actually go to the same place because it'll be associated with you. You could go to projectjustice.info and hit the donate button and donate the $500. If you do that, I got one with your name on it. Well, with my name on it. I'll put my name on it, but you know what I mean. If you do that, and that actually, if that $500 goes in there, that will go toward the production of more books immediately, right? That money will immediately go toward the production of more physical copies. So anybody out there, if you want to get a book, not the collector's items one, those are $50 each, but I told Carrie I'd let her have this one for 500. I don't know how many more will go for 500 because these are going to be given to big investors, right? These will be the, I'm going to have to go back on my word of allowing people to have them for $500 because if I get a guy that gives me $100 million, I'm like, oh, here you go. I'll give you a book. Here you go. This is one for you, So anyway, glad we had this conversation. All right. I'm still shooting. I got to log into work. Hold on. I'll be back. Can I talk? Can I talk simultaneously while I enter passwords? Hold on. Oops. Logging into work. Still logging into work. There's a process, procedure to launch different applications and programs and VPN and editing software, Slack. Let's see if I've gotten an assignment yet. I can't wait. I can't wait till I'm just doing Sogelman Tellurian all day, all the time. I can't wait. Can't wait. And I think it's right around the corner. I think the funding's coming. Having the book. I'm so stupid. I just entered. Delete. What was I saying? Yeah, I think the funding, as soon as the website is up and I start doing more interviews, I think I'll be able to go on hiatus from my job. That's what I'll do because working where I work, I'm like I have an incredible workplace. I'm on the inside of the industry, right? I'm like reading disc. Did this go through? Man. Hold on. I'll be with you guys in a second. Oh, projectjustice.info. Sorry. Project. Let me write it here. Let me write it in here. Type it. Project justice dot in. Did I spell that right? That should be it. Hold on. Let's see. All right, I pulled it out of the box. Here's one. I don't know if this is the one. So here's one for you. So I'm giving you one. Let me see. These autograph prototypes. Let's see, what number is that? All right. Carry jumper. if you're giving, this is yours. This is the one I'm giving you. Number 9. Number 9 of 26. See right there. This is what I mean about the spine. Like this prototype doesn't have the official spine because it'll say Assassin Saint along here, etc. But these prototypes. So number 9 out of 26 of these that were made. I will autograph it myself on this page where Zavin autographed it. So he passed away less than 3 months later, right? He passed away on February 6th, 2024. So less than 3 months after signing this. I mean, this is like the last things he ever signed, right? I have video of him, pictures of him doing this. It's crazy. So I will autograph this on that same page, and I'll put the date that I autograph it, right? This will be collector's item. Boy. We set this aside. So in the future, as this becomes more, as we progress, we'll probably do some like bidding wars or something like, we're making one available at such and such a date, such a time. Sorry, I got to focus on work here for a sec. Hold on. Where is that? Did it go through? Oh, I know how to find out. Oh, it did go through. Okay, good. All right. And nobody at work is clamoring for my attention. Wait, let me see. You guys are just hanging out with me. I love it. Like we should do this. Like I actually should do this more often when I work from home. I can't do this when I work from the studio, obviously. Updates. Let's see if my name is on here yet. All right, we're good. I can talk. Here's what I'm going to do. I got to put some socks on. And my socks are in that drawer right there. You guys are getting some inside information. I'm gonna do the ankles. I couldn't find 2 tube socks because my sock drawer gets pilfered by my wife. She takes my tube socks. My feet are cold. Can you put some socks on for me? Yeah. So I'm just doing some ankle socks to get my toes. Good question, Lucas. Any more questions? Actually, let's do that. Sock it to me, Dad. I love your mom. I'm so happy that I just love that we have this capacity to hang out. I don't see you, but you see me, and I I just know you're there. So, ask me a question. Let's see if you guys have any questions for me. 'Cause you know me, I can just babble. But how about I tell you something you want to know? Oh, there's my sweatpants. Yeah. Suck it to me. Suck it to me. Suck it to me. All right. Get this laid out. All right. If you have any questions, then I'll just babble. But I will keep my eyes on the questions. Ask me anything. It's a suck it to me. Ask me anything. Right? Suck it to me. Ask me anything. That works. Not guaranteed to answer, but all right. I want to know where you were. Who was interviewing you today? Oh, okay. And all the progress you're making. Okay. Well, that's like 3 questions right there that could take me a year to answer. Just kidding. Um, so this guy named Mike Cunningham is a history teacher. Um, out of I forget what city in Texas, but he's out of Texas, and he's been very interested in uh, the Armenian genocide history, World War One history in particular, and he contacted me about 4 years ago. It was pre-pandemic. No, maybe it was after. No, I think it was after the pandemic. So he found, yeah, no, it was definitely after the pandemic started. He found my YouTube channel, Tales of Truth. And if you don't know about Tales of Truth, go to Tales of Truth. Uh, and you go to Tales of Truth on YouTube, and in the video column, like if you sort the videos, you know how you can go to a YouTube channel, you can click on the video tab. If you go all the way to the very first video, start watching chronologically, you'll see some of the raw footage of my trip to Armenia. So you'll see the beginning of this journey. You'll see actually the very second video, the very first video on that YouTube channel, Tales of Truth. I'm going on a tangent. See, you ask me a question, and I'll just go off on a tangent. The very first video, chronologically posted at Tales of Truth on YouTube, is me in London, next to the London Bridge, or next to London Bridge was down the street. It's a different bridge, and I think I'm talking about it. That's not actually the London Bridge. Everybody thinks this is a London Bridge, but that's the London Bridge. So it was while I was on the research trip. So that's the very first video that was posted there. About a year or two later, when I launched Tales of Truth, because when I first put it up, well, it was Tales of Truth, but I thought I was going to be just posting videos from the field while I was on the trip, but it didn't. Thank you. I'm glad you like. Can you put the link to Tales of Truth? Let's see. Yeah. Um, what? Come on. YouTube. No, I want to go to YouTube. Just YouTube. Come on. Not there. Sorry. Tales of Truth. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Share. Wait, come on. I guess that's it. Let's see if I can do this. See if I know this machine. Oh, that's right. The London Bridge is in Arizona. No, is it the London Bridge? There it is. That should get you there, I think. At Tales of Truth 2260. Oh, look, the brand is still this way. All right, back to the question, the long question. Mike Cunningham. So I started Tales of Truth, started posting stuff at the Tales of. I'll get to that, Mom. Hold on. I started um, posting, and then there's chronologically, you get to where I started a show on Tales of Truth called Hollywood and History, where it was me and my historian Armin interviewing some of his impressive contacts, right? Like, one of the most preeminent World War One scholars, Ron Sunni at Michigan State or whatever university, he's Armenian. We interviewed a retired general, military guy. We interviewed a lawyer who's argued before the Supreme Court, et cetera. So the Hollywood and history. So the channel is like legit history, important. That's the point, is to document that it's a very credible and academically reliable YouTube channel. And it's not Christian, right? So that one is specifically just the facts of history. It's not me preaching, right? Because it's to the academic world and to everyone. And this guy, Mike Cunningham, reached out to me through that channel. He found it and wanted to interview me, and he interviewed me way back for his classroom back then. And then when I was interviewed on January 11th on Mer Herosner, I didn't know, but he was a fan of Mer Herosner, and he saw me on there. He's like, "Hey, I want to have you back." So that's how he reached out to me again after that interview to have me back. That answered that question, I think. Let's see. I want to know where you were, who was interviewing today, all the progress you're making, all the progress I'm making. You guys know the progress I'm making. We're about to get books printed, and the website's almost ready. And as soon as the website is ready, and my PR, I'm almost done drafting the PR one sheet, or the press release, or not press release, the um, met with a friend of mine yesterday. What did he call it? Press kit, right? The press kit, not the press release. So putting together a press kit, and then I'm going to be everywhere. All right. Question, Mom. Let's see. Why are American Armenians so silent about what Erdogan is doing as we speak to their homeland? Yeah, silent. How about silenced? Why are American Armenians silenced? This it's a good question. They're not silent, but after 100 years of trying to get attention to a genocide, there's you just get worn down, right? You get worn down. There's nobody listening to you. You have that feeling that nobody's listening to you, and that's where I come in, right? The Armenians trying to tell their own story is not going to get anybody's attention because of 100 years of just denialism. And there's all kinds of stuff going on in the world. Why should we care, right? Why there's this, there's that, there's these African tribes and Christian being massacred, and and there's oppression of there's bad things happening to good people all over the world all the time. And so you just can be overwhelmed by the magnitude of it all and lose heart. And that quite literally is where I come in. And one of the questions asked in today's interview, that the answer is, I don't remember the question exactly, but my answer is, the only way people are going to care, non-historians, right? The idea is to get people to fall in love with history. Oh, how do you do that? Boy, that's a tall order. How do you get people to fall in love with history? History, you just say it and people start falling asleep. You say the word history and they're like, right? And that's, I think, by design from Satan, right? I think Satan doesn't want people to know history. Certainly, Satan doesn't want people reading the Bible, because that's history, right? It's actual history. And so God is still at work. He's still been doing things. And if you get people to ignore history, then they ignore what God is doing, right? Or they ignore what Satan is doing. So my and I have to kind of encapsulate this or put it in a very concise way that's easily graspable. I need to articulate in a way that people get it. The way to draw people into important history is by telling a hero story, and a specific hero story, right? And I don't mean Iron Man or Luke Skywalker, right? Not just a hero story, but the actual hero, the actual uh, accurate history, and not just anybody's history. It has to be somebody who, by telling their story, you tell the whole story, right? And that's a unique circumstance, right? There's not a lot of people in history that if you tell their story, they're going to learn a whole bunch of history, but those cases are out there, right? Like George Washington, for example. You learn that who George Washington was. If you learn his history, you learn a lot about the founding of our country, right? That's an example, right? Soghomon Tehlirian is that character, right? He's been a national hero for Armenia since he pulled the trigger on March 15th, 1921, right? National hero. But his story hasn't been told to the world. The Armenians know it, but it hasn't been told to the world. That's where I come in. You tell that one historical narrative, and suddenly everybody cares about history, at least that history. And so, it's such a time as this, right? The timing of it's crazy. Azerbaijan is arming, right? Is mounting up, preparing to continue a genocide, right at the time when this story will blow the whole thing open. And when all eyes are on Armenia and their plight, the nations will rally to the side of Armenia and push back the enemy. Right? That's literally the things I'm saying right now are what I'm mulling over for the press kit, right? The one sheet in the press kit. This is what I'm going to be talking about. These questions are the questions that need to be answered up front in the press kit, right? The world is at war. The first Christian nation is in peril. Time to tell the story of Armenia, right? That's kind of the opening lines of this thing. There are forces in the world that want to kill Armenians. The only way to stop them is to tell their story. This is their story. Assassin Saint. You tell Solomon's story, you tell the whole story. Right? All right, there were more questions. Let's see. Oh, no. Wait, there's 5 people on Rumble watching this right now? Is that what you said, Lucas? Or at least when you checked? Because that's the thing. I don't have time. Like, I don't check those stats. Like, I don't see, and I know we are live on Rumble. Maybe, yeah, we are. We're live on Rumble as well. Oh, hello, Rumble fans. Oh my gosh, if there's anybody still watching on Rumble, hi. Like, I need to, do that and address Rumble and X. So there might be people watching on X as well, because this is live on X. We've gone past our 33-minute threshold. I'm going to hear, we'll do this at least an hour, right? I'm looking at work. I got a couple things to do, but nothing major. Keep asking questions. Oh, you guys on Rumble. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have access to anybody that wants to ask questions on Rumble. Anybody on Rumble, if you want to find us on YouTube, I mean, stay on Rumble. We want the audience on Rumble. And if you're on Rumble watching this and you are there because you've sworn off of YouTube, I get it. I understand. But if you also have a YouTube account, you can find us at This Way Network on YouTube. And that's where the comment section is, where I can put up your questions. So. So until I get another question, I'll continue on the updating. So yesterday, I talked to Ara K. I call Ara K the Armenian Gina, producer Gina. She's like willing to do whatever. Like she's been helping immensely, and she has skill sets that are helpful, and she's willing to learn things that she doesn't know. And so she's all in. She's like a personal assistant in certain regards. But Arak, he's Armenian, and he's that way. He's like, whatever I can do to help. So he's kind of spreading the word. He called me yesterday saying, "Hey, I got a friend who's into cybersecurity, etc., and he wants to help. He'll be all in." So when the funding comes and I need cybersecurity, because we're going to need cybersecurity. We're going to be attacked big time when this thing blows up. And so that was like, the Armenians are going to be all over this thing. The Armenians are going to love this. They're going to want to be a part of this. And those are the people that are going to protect me, right? The Armenians are going to be a shield around me, because you got very powerful, very influential Armenians all across the spectrum, whether it's in the entertainment industry or whether it's in cybersecurity or whether it's like, at the shoe store, right? It's like across the spectrum, Armenians are going to be protecting me. And that's an honor. And so, all right, Mom asked the question. Anticipating pushback from the media with their project when it goes public. I have thought about that. I think initially extremely little. And the glory of this project is it's like, who can argue with this? Who can argue with it? I've the head of Middle Eastern studies at Georgetown, right? The head, yeah, Georgetown University, right? The head of Middle Eastern studies. I spent the night at his house, right? It's like, this guy's not a Christian, uh, secular, as far as I know. He's not Muslim, uh, but he's like credibility, reputation, right? He's the kind of guy that the media would have on to challenge me, right? Right? If I go on saying Armenian genocide, well, let's find a Turkish authority. Well, I'm personal friends with the number one Turkish authority, just about. There's other Turks that are authorities on this, but the head of the Middle Eastern studies at Georgetown is a Turk. And I've spent the night at his house. I've had dinner with he and his girlfriend and his children, right? And his girlfriend, by the way, is a high ranking government official, Democrat, by the way. Right? I'm disclosing too much information. But, she literally, her direct boss, she answers to Merrick Garland, right? So I'm in, right? And so, let me put this up, Carrie. MSN, they'll say it's fake, just like to do with our history. But okay, they won't, because this is something that transcends our political issues. That's the thing about this project that I'm so grateful for, that I keep emphasizing to people. I'm like, I can't believe I have been blessed with a calling, a life story that literally transcends just about every issue. Democrat, Republican doesn't even come in to the narrative, right? It's not even part of this story, right? It transcends that. This is the guy. This is the etymology of the word genocide, right? Democrats and Republicans both know that word and use that word. Some men misuse that word on both sides, right? The etymology of that term is Sogomontalerian. Literally, you cannot study the etymology of that term without learning about Sogomontalerian. So I am educating the world as to the origin of the term genocide. What does MSN have? What does the mainstream media have to say about that? Right? I will be educating them, and they'll be like, "Yeah, you know what? The Young Turks, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, his co-host is an Armenian, right? Those guys are as liberal and leftist and progressive as you get, and I could go on that show and talk to his Armenian co-host and to Cenk Uygur, right? And I anticipate that day coming. And if we venture into other topics, well, they'll learn my personal politics. But that's the thing is, I can talk about this across the board on any show and not get pushback unless it was the state media of the country of Turkey or Azerbaijan, right? That's where the pushback will come, right? So, oh yeah, good versus evil. Yeah, this is Erdogan won't be pleased, along with his yeah. So that is the main opposition to this. Um, Let me address this. This is very important, but let me check something first. Oops. Oh, interesting. I just texted somebody at work. We get a response. Let's see. Did I schedule email? I did. Oh, let me check something. Hold, oops. Options. Make sure delay delivery. Okay, send. That's done. All right, good. All right. Erdogan won't be pleased, along with his Muslim population. Okay, so that will be the main opposition to this. So it's not that there won't be opposition. I just think the opposition in Western mainstream media will be um, um, minimal. Uh, okay, actually, here's what I'm. Some thoughts. I shouldn't. I can't predict, right? I can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but uh, hold on a second. So here's a couple possible scenarios. I got a text from right, two examples. I have a friend who's Armenian, who's the head of media at Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization. Huge, like they've grown, in leaps and bounds, and just are doing good work. So my friend, my Armenian friend, she when she found out about the book, and she goes, "I'm going to pitch you to Patrick Bet David, who a podcast with 5 million, or Valuetainment podcast with 5 million subscribers. He's half Armenian, half Assyrian. He's a Christian, right? So she's going to pitch me to that guy. If I go on that guy's show, that'll be huge. Then my this other example, my friend Brian Godawa, which many of you know who he is. Brian Godawa texted me a couple days ago a link to a tweet from Candace Owens. Candace Owens is complaining about evangelical Christians not talking about certain important issues, and she was responding to another uh, some of the other conservative pundits that we are familiar with that are our friends, and they were talking about Azerbaijan, fortifying to attack Armenia, right? And Candace Owens was responding to that. She's like, I will talk to anybody that wants to talk about Armenia, right? So that's just like 2 days ago, Brian Goodall was sending me this tweet. So this is happening right now, right? When these people that want to talk about Armenia find out about me, if it's a bunch of right wing pundits and I go, yeah, Valuetainment is freaking huge, right? And that guy's also very rich. That's why I'm saying We're right at the threshold. We're right just about to once the press kit is ready. Press kit means get out there, get your face out there. So if the first wave of this publicity is all right wing, then I might get some opposition and pushback. But the thing is, I am going to be reaching out. I'm going to be doing university tours, right? I'm going to be going onto college campuses. I'm going to be talking to history departments, leftists, right? And I'm going to be reaching out to left leaning podcasts, left leaning political pundits, right? I'll go on MSNBC. I'll go on Rachel Maddow. I'll go on Young Turks, right? I'll go on all those shows because I can talk about something that transcends the BS that they talk about, that they focus on. If they want to get into, the minutia, I'll say, well, this gun grab, right? Trying to take guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens. Well, guess what the Young Turks did? They made gun ownership illegal for Armenians, right? That's what I know, right? You take the guns out of the Armenians, you kill them all, and there'll be no resistance, right? So if they want to venture into any political issues, I've got plenty to say, but maintaining the historical narrative, right? Sticking to the narrative, because this is about the first Christian nation, right? And that's what's important. I want to unify the world, but before that, I want to unify Armenians. I want to unify the Turks who've been lied to for 100 years, right? I want to reconcile Armenia and Turkey. And then I want to unify all of Christendom, right? The first Christian nation that history should be known by every Christian, right? If you're a Christian, you should know the history of your own belief, right? What God has been doing, right? A whole nation converted to Christianity in 301 AD. That's the first time it ever happened. It's literally the oldest Christian culture. How many Christians know that the oldest Christian culture still exists and is being threatened by Muslims? How many people know that, right? That's the narrative I'm going to be spreading. Yeah, everyone won't be happy and the Muslims won't be happy, but the Muslims who are just Muslim because they're told to be Muslim, when they find out their own history, right, in Turkey, they'll be like, wait a minute, we know there were Armenians here, but our government doesn't want us talking about it, but I want to know about it, right? Your average Joe Turk goes out and shopping and going to school or going into a job, right? In Turkey, they have normal lives like we do, except they're supposed to be Muslim, right? That's the difference. When they get access to their own history, they'll be indignant that they were been lied to for 100 years. And then change will take place, right? When they get motivated, they're like, oh, this really happened and I was lied to by my government. Let's change my government. And that's why I maintain, I get people looking at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but I think Turkey is going to convert to Christianity. Did I say that out loud? I think it's inevitable. Got a smiley face to my coworker here. And hold on, I'll get back to your questions. Any other questions? Somebody said something. Hold on. You guys are talking too much. Just kidding. Your mother's thoughts go way ahead of all of this. And the truth is, I think about you becoming the target of their evil agendas. Yeah. So you're in good company, Mom. My Armenian friend, RK, the guy I was saying is the Armenian Gina, that's at the top of his mind. And that's what I mean by Armenians are going to protect me. That my protection, my shield will be Armenians. So RK went to Armenia, right? He was over there for a couple of weeks. Like we did our November 11th thing here, which was the launch of the public, publicity tour. And then he had to go over there for dental work, right? Cheap dental work in Armenia. And while he was there, he's like immersed in his own culture and getting a feel for it. And his, like, the thing that's on his mind is like, dude, you need to be protected. You need to be protected. And he's like, and that's why he introduced me, or he told me yesterday about his cybersecurity friend, because part of protection is concealing where I am, who I am, what I'm doing, right? Cybersecurity, because, the way you're going to get attacked is virtually initially. So yes, and I'm not just recognizing that now. I recognize that from day one. It was like, oh, if I pursue this, got a big fat bullseye right on my right here. And so did Jesus, right? Jesus had a big fat bullseye right on his face. So thank you, Jesus, that I get to follow in your footsteps, right? And Solomon Talerian, big fat bullseye. He kills Talat Pasha. He becomes the number one villain to every Turk and Muslim, right? Hero to Armenians, but a villain. That's why he changed his name and disappeared. So, but being a bullseye is a high calling, and you know, for me to live is Christ, and to die is more Christ. But it's not going to happen yet, right? This thing's going to get blown open, and it's going to happen, and I will be surrounded by security, and I'm already protected, right? There are ways that I'm protected, like supernaturally. I got angels, right? God is. I'm telling you, I look back at things that happen. I'm like, oh, yeah, I am protected. But not just that. I think about how I'm, for example, if somebody really wanted to, and it may already be in the case, I think about this, like, I bet Google has somebody assigned to me, right? I bet, like, I have, there's a file on me, right? Maybe not. Who knows? I don't know if I've risen to enough prominence. I've gotten strikes on YouTube, so that puts me on their radar. But if it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. There will be someone in the Turkish government or whatever assigned to find out who I am and if I'm really a threat, right? And maybe I'll just appear out of nowhere, and they will not have done that, and it'll be too late. But if somebody was going to investigate me and who I am, and what would they be investigating? One of the things they would be investigating is what kind of impact would it be if he disappeared, right? What impact to the world would it be if I suddenly vanished from the face of the earth, if I suddenly dropped dead, right, from suspicious circumstances or something, right? What would be the impact? And so I am networked in at a very high level in the most important industry. The entertainment industry is the most important industry because that is where culture is shaped, right? And so me disappearing would make some waves, even from my neighborhood, right? I'm connected to, like I said earlier, I'm very close friends with the head of the Middle Eastern studies at Georgetown, and I'm friends with his girlfriend who's at a high level in the Justice Department, right? Like it's weird. Like, I'm connected to Hollywood, influential A-list Hollywood producers. I work in one of the big networks, right? I drive to that lot, right? Having that access badge to get on that lot, those are all forms of protection, right? It's like anybody doing research on me, finding out that I'm a kind of important connected person, I can't just disappear. So that's one form of protection. And that doesn't stop the crazies. I'm just saying there are layers of protection. Here's another thing. Like, what if China was after me, right? For exposing, their, evil doings and genocide or whatever. If China had an person assigned to me, well, look, my wife's Chinese. My kids are half Chinese. I have relatives that are probably communists, right? Probably. Right? So that's a form of protection, being, a part of, right? I don't know. So these are just some thought processes that go through my head. Yeah, I'm a target, and I will be a bigger target. And the bigger the Solomon Talerian story gets, the bigger my profile gets, and the more fans and the more people who become followers of Solomon's story that I'm going to be telling, right? Followers of me, but followers of Solomon. The more people that become followers of this, there's another group that grows simultaneously. The more enemies, the more trolls, the more haters, the more people opposed, right? It's just par for the course. comes with the territory. I'm not famous yet, Gary. It's actually, let me just say that. Here's a little story I'm gonna tell you. I'm glad I have a light day at work. Surprise! You guys thought I was not going to be here, and you're getting extra bonus. I'll tell you a little story. This my wife, Tina, my lovely wife, Tina. Uh, I work in the entertainment industry, and it drives her nuts. Right? It drives her nuts, except she consumes some of the stuff that we do. Right? It's like you're a consumer. Like we're providing for you, even though it's mindless. Pow, some of it. It's just, bleh. But she says, and I'm in a band, and I get up on stage and I sing and I revel in it. I really love being the front man. She said, "You just want to be famous." And in that context, in that conversation, your your spine stiffens and you want to retort and you're like, "Mm." Then I couldn't say no. I had to listen honestly and do an evaluation. You just want to be famous. And I meditated and I'm like, yes. Yeah. So, right? I'm like, yeah. So, no, that's not how it came out. And I didn't even answer right then, but I had to do that evaluation. Like, I meditated. I'm like, well, you're saying that like it's a bad thing, right? You just want to be famous. It's all about you. You always want the center of attention. I'm like, I was designed this way. I love entertaining. I love putting on a show. I love that anybody cares to even listen to me or watch me. But as I meditated, I was like, well, Jesus was destined to be famous, right? It was destiny. Uh, and he wanted it because he wants everybody to love him, right? He wants to be the most famous person, and he is for the right reason. The only fame is not evil, right? And desiring fame is not evil. Desiring fame for fame's sake or desiring fame for not knowing is evil or wrong. But I came to this conclusion after I had that conversation. Like the only reason anyone should ever want to be famous is to advance the kingdom of God. If your fame advances the kingdom of God, then yes. So I've had a few thoughts about this. Yeah, Candace. Let's see. Scrolling down. Young Turks, yeah, can't stand them. They are annoying. Text from someone. No one. It's weird to think this way, but I do. And that's when I came across this story at the beginning in 2017, October of 2017, coming across the Sogolon Tellurian story. One of the first thoughts that crossed my mind is like, wait a minute, it's possible to get an entire ethnic population united. And that's a population that brags about being divided, right? You talk to Armenians, they have jokes about how divided they are, right? There's a joke about this guy getting stranded on a desert island and he spends all his time building, a little city and he builds two churches, right? He's alone on this desert island. It's an Armenian joke. He's alone on this desert island. He builds a city and he builds two churches. And when somebody lands and asks him, hey, well, why'd you build that church over there? He goes, well, that's where the other guys go. Right? It's like they're so divided. Yet I come across Solomon Tellurian, national hero. I'm like, wait, it is possible, actually possible for a particular ethnic population to be unanimously united around one thing. And I recognize the power in that. And I realized that by uniting them, it would draw attention and Christians would realize, wait, that's our story too. So you have this one concentric circle of Armenians being united. And as word spreads, Christians start uniting around their own history. And as that word spreads, the rest of the world looks and says, wow, there's something to this story, this history. It's compelling. Oh, and it's a Christian history. And people start converting, right? It's like, whoa, this one thing. And so that whole time, I felt like I'm not, it's not me, it's Sogomon, right? I'm attached to this other thing that's happening. And it's just because I can see it a certain way that I get to be a part of it, and I get to be the voice, right? I get to be the storyteller of someone else's story, and it's like humbling and an honor, and I cry because it's not about me, but I get to do it. It's an honor. So, and you guys get to witness it. That's what I say. This may be a little group here, but a time's going to come when I'm going to say, oh, by the way, if you want to read the Bible every day with us, go join us at Bible every morning. And this group will get flooded. And I'm like holding off, right? I'm not pushing to get this group bigger right now. I'm enjoying this intimacy, but I know we're going to have to like set up some kind of separate, like gilded app, right? Everybody get gilded and we'll have our own group so that we'll still have our small group because it's going to get out of hand. I think. I believe it. Moving on. Let's see. Yeah, the hard questions. Yes, pray for me. Yeah, they're watching. Somebody's watching. At the very least, every word I say is being archived for later research for whatever. If there's not people actively, you know, watching me on my phone constantly and listening in. The beauty is when I go out and pray, I have a very specific time and I'm meditating on these things and meditating on that. I'm like, oh, if I have a tracking device on me, they have access to it. They can do whatever they want. They can record because there's a microphone and a camera that's always on. They can do whatever they want. And I'm like, okay, but they can't read my mind and they can't read my lips as I'm praying. They don't know what I'm saying. Right. So, but God does. And that's the way I look at it. Right. So when I go and I pray, in particular when I pray, but it's always true, is yes, there is an archive, some archive going on. I don't know. I don't know if they're archiving, right? I say that. My brother probably scoff at me like, you don't know how things work, blah, blah, blah. He does that sometimes. So maybe they're not archiving everything I say, but some things, certainly videos I post on YouTube are archived, but maybe they're not. But the fact is somebody is archiving everything. When I pray out loud and I write songs out loud on my prayer walk, I don't get back to my journal and write all the lyrics down. I'm like, God's going to remind me of these things because he's documenting them, right? Everything is being archived, right? The angels are here watching and observing and guiding and participating, right? I'm making decisions and they're also having an influence, right? God has assigned me to this for such a time and he's been protecting me and it's all being documented and archived, right? And it'll all be, you know what I'm saying? This was all kind of in response to that. Catch up with you guys. I'm scrolling down. I'm getting there. Patience. Uh, yeah, this is a big deal because in one of the questions in the interview today was, is there anything you would do differently? Right. In this process, you've been working on this 7 years. If you went back, is there anything you would do differently? And I'm like, I have trouble with that because I know God is sovereign and he uses even procrastination. Right. I've had times where I'm like, I'm procrastinating. I know I'm procrastinating. And I procrastinated so long that this other thing happened that if I didn't procrastinate, I would have gone down a wrong tangent until this other thing happened. And because I procrastinated, I didn't waste any energy and time on that. This other thing had to happen before I could move forward, right? So that's taught me about patience. It's taught me about free will and about creativity and spontaneity and the still small voice of God and guidance, et cetera, and that kind of stuff. And so I realize that I'm a part of something very, very big. And the bigger a thing is, typically, the longer it takes to build the foundation, right? You're going to build something big. Don't cut don't make take shortcuts in the foundation, because if you don't have the strong, firm, proper foundation, the whole thing collapses. So that's the key to patience. It's like, I'm not, you know, 7 years, that's a long time to be working on something. Well, 7 years, it's a number of perfection, right? And it's like, now it's the public facing side of this, because I've got all the background. This is a thing that in that interview, that 2 hour interview that I did on Mer Herosner, one person that was commenting on that, responding to me, telling me about that, is like, when you watch that, it's obvious that you know your shit, right? It's obvious that you are an expert. You know what you're talking about. It just comes out. It's not you trying to, yeah, every now and then I try to remember a data, but I'm not just a fly by the seat of your pants or a fly by night, right? I'm not just like a grifter, like, let's try this thing and see if people are interested in that. Let's try that. It's like, no, thing I'm all in, right? I put all the eggs in this one basket, right? You're warned not to do that unless you know it's the right thing, right? The guy who walks across that field and stumbles across the buried treasure. What did he do? He stumbles across the buried treasure and went and sold everything, and bought the field, right? He was all in. And that's like, this store is like a no-brainer. I'm all in. I don't care. But this is the thing that's going to change, certainly already changed my life. And if it's changed my life this way, when people start hearing about it, it's going to change their lives, and more people's lives that are changed by this, the world gets changed. So patience pays off. Got a bit testy. Oh, I might have to go back and look. I might have to go back and look through the comments. You guys are, I don't know. I don't know what happened in here, but you guys still love one another, I hope. The bonus you guys get. I love that you guys were able to, yeah, because I guess, yeah, I don't know how this thing works where we're not live, but you can still chat with each other. That's right. That's right. It's the way it's set up. Sorry. Yes, seeking God's glory. Yes, I am. Amen. It's just the way I'm made. I mean, I've been this way since I was a kid. I'm telling you, I remember I was like 14. Oh, gosh, before I was Christian. I remember I was like 14, thinking about, because my dad, he was into philosophy and Eastern mysticism and alcohol and rock and roll, right? And I sat at his feet, and I loved the rock and roll and the alcohol and the philosophy. And I remember one time talking to my friends, my teenage friends, and I had this circle of like four or five of my friends, and I'm just talking philosophy and politics, and I was 14 years old, and they're all just kind of sitting there going, so I kind of wired this way. God made me this way for such a time as this, I guess. I'm gonna just put all of these up here. Oh yeah, I popped in right when she was giving up. Tender place. Just a click away. Yeah, I was gonna text her. Yeah, Tender. Hi. I've been babbling here for an hour now. I was late. I was late. I was doing an interview, but I have a light load here at work, so I decided to just hang out. Um, yeah. Go back and watch. We're doing a question and answer time. So can you ask any more questions? Uh, um, let's see. I should set a time limit. We'll be out at 10:30. Right. Let's finish at 10:30. So that's 18 minutes. I do not babble. I do like that. If I didn't call her mom, I'd call her Bon Bon. If I didn't call her mom or Miracle Mom, I'd call her Bon Bon. I like that. I do not bow. I saw that. Like, I literally came in right as my mom was, "Well, I'm out of here." And I was getting my phone out to text her as I was hitting record or go live. I was hitting go live. I'm like, "Mom, mom." So, well, by definition, words have meaning, right? No, I don't mean to diminish what you're saying. um, Jordan Peterson came to that conclusion. I remember listening to Jordan Peterson one time talking about when essentially he how he became who he is, right? How he became the kind of person he is. And he said it was he made the decision to only speak what he believed or knew to be true. He said before that he would always play devil's advocate. He would always get in arguments just for argument's sake. You know, I guess he was kind of proud of his intellectual capacities and used it in that way. And a lot of people do that. They're very bright and they like arguments just for the adrenaline rush. And I guess he was like that. And he made this decision. He says, "I'm only going to speak truth no matter the cost." And because of that, you know, it's led him in the right direction. You know, I came up with an expression just the other day. I'm like, I pledge my allegiance to the spirit of truth. Right? I pledge my allegiance to the spirit of truth, and that's going to be my challenge. Make a vow, pledge your allegiance to the spirit of truth. And we know, you and I know, the spirit of truth is Jesus. Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life." So pledging your allegiance to the spirit of truth is actually pledging your allegiance to Jesus without even knowing it, right? To a person that's not a believer out there, and they make that decision by pledging their allegiance to the spirit of truth and pursuing that, it will ultimately lead them to Jesus. But one of his conclusions, one of Peterson's conclusions, is either everything has meaning or nothing has meaning, right? Either this is all happening for a reason. Humanity, the history of humanity, every minutia, every little thing, every decision made by every person, it all either all of it has meaning or none of it has meaning. Right. So the existentialists will say none of it has meaning, but then then they'll act like there's meaning, right? It's this cognitive dissonance, like nothing has meaning. But if you tell them they're full of it, they'll say, "What?" Right? They're like, "No, my words, nothing has meaning." Oh, has meaning. Nothing has meaning. Well, that sentence has meaning, so it's self-refuting. It's a circular argument. It's fun, right? Yeah, I mean, Jordan Peterson. Um, Jordan Peterson came up in a conversation, surprisingly to me, yesterday. So I have this friend who knows about my project, he's helped in certain respects. He's a filmmaker. He's a filmmaker, and he actually works on a TV show on the same lot where I work. So when I work on the lot, he works on a show. I think it's called The Neighborhood. Sorry. And when we found out we both work on the same lot, this is a guy. Backstory. His name's Justin. Um, he went to the same college I went to, Vanguard University. He went to the same school I went to, and I guess we had some classes together. Fast forward about 20 years. So I graduated in fast forward, maybe it was like almost 20 years. And we're going to the same church, and he approaches me. He's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey," and I didn't really recognize him. It was like, we went to school together, and we hadn't seen each other in like 15, probably 15, 20 years at that time. And we've become really good friends. I went to Sundance Film Festival 2 years in a row with him. This is that guy. But I found that he, even though he's a Christian, has been politically left leaning or progressive. I'm just gathering from certain things he says. I could tell, and I'm like, huh. And so in our conversations, I always kind of avoided those topics, or avoided, my affections for President Trump and stuff like that, right? And just in those conversations. Uh, and so I have maintained that, in our dialogue, that I don't really go. But yesterday when we were talking, I was telling him, he was wanting updates, and I was telling him, well, he knows Brian Godawa, my friend Brian. I was like, Brian, he sent me a text of, do you know who Candace Owens is? He's like, oh yeah, from the Daily Wire or whatever. Is it the Daily Wire? The Ben Shapiro, what's it called? There's like the Daily Mail, the Daily Beast, the Daily Wire. I think it's the Daily Wire. And so I mentioned that, and then he goes, well, I went over and watched some of the Daily Wire stuff because Jordan Peterson. I didn't realize he was a fan of Jordan Peterson. And so I'm like, oh, and he's like, actually, Jordan, I think, is coming to this thing that I'm going to next week, and blah, blah, blah. Like, no way. So Jordan Peterson just came up in a conversation yesterday. Yes, he can put you to sleep because he's definitely talking at a different level, and I can track with him maybe 80% of the time. It's always that. I mean, that's the thing. You should be reading books or listening to people that are way smarter than you and challenging to you, right? You should always to be expanding and growing. Look, we're going to be doing this forever, right? We're going to be doing this forever, mind you. We're going to be having these conversations forever. We're going to be communicating like this forever. The technology will change and improve, and then we'll die, and then we'll be resurrected, and then we'll continue. Like, we'll pick up where we left off. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced that the physical world that we live in, the advances we're making through innovation, God's creativity that he pours through us, right? Technology is God's innovation. It's God's design. It's what God had always planned and always intended. How do I know that? Because the goal is communication, to unify, right? To unify through communication technology, to be on the same page, unity. Yes, these devices are used for evil. Of course they are, but that's not their intent. Their intent is to unify the human race, this human species. So technology will advance. Our ability to communicate with each other will become immersive. It won't be a flat screen like this. There will come a time when the technology is such that we can see each other in 3D and see each other's facial expressions, or whatever avatar you choose to use, but we'll be immersed. Body language. The most efficient communication is face to face. That's the most efficient form of communication. Texting, you can lose the tone. Even in a flat screen, you don't really gather everybody's nuance in body language, because when you're communicating, it's not just the words, it's the expressions on your face, it's the posture. That is the full communication, is the full body. And so communication technology is already almost there to where we will all have access to cheap, affordable, fully immersive, if you want to use it, technology. It won't be implants, right? You don't need. That's the thing. People get afraid of Elon Musk's trying to create cyborgs, right? It's going to take over the minds of humans. Like, no, it's going to be an option for people. People that like getting, nose piercings or spikes planted under their skin. Like, people just like getting stuff put into their bodies. But the technology, you don't need anything implanted, right? You can have a device on the back of on your you can wear a hat or a helmet, and there are vibrations. Yeah, there are technologies that do all the things that an implant will do, but it's outside the skin. So don't worry about this neuro implant stuff. It's just technology. It's not going to ruin the world or take over the world. Technology is God directed, right? So I think the implant stuff will be an option for people that want it. People that want it. I will never want it. I think it's stupid. I don't think anybody would ever need. Well, let me take that back. My mom has a pacemaker. She has an implant, right? She has a technological implant. So there are some technologies that, people we've decided we want that in our bodies, right? And so, right, but the as far as the communication devices and in et cetera, I'm not. I don't think anybody. Even I was thinking about this. The people talking about the contact lenses. You'll be able to put contact lenses and have the virtual reality, and I think that that may work. It may work, but the problem is, what about when things overheat? Right, those little circuits in the contact lenses. What if they burn your eyeballs out? Anyway, I'm going on all kinds of tangents. I'm just riffing. All right, let's see. Stop there. And nothing wrong with pierced nostrils. Look, nothing wrong with it. I mean, the thing I don't. My daughter, Grandma Vonnie, I don't know. My daughter has tattoos. She started getting tattoos. And I'm like, okay, I've been around plenty of people with tattoos, and I'm a rock singer in a rock band. I should be covered with tattoos, and I've just never been interested in getting tattoos. And I don't judge anybody who has tattoos and think, I mean, tattoos are amazing and gorgeous, right? Oh, sorry, get distracted. So don't think I'm passing judgment. I think my daughter has a bunch of ear piercings. In fact, I won't go into those details, but no problem. Uh, yeah, tattoos are expensive, and it's an addiction. I know it can be an addiction. Like it's like, oh, I gotta get the next one. Always planning and budgeting. I have a friend that I went. It was junior high school and high school with him, and I remember visiting him one time after school, or after I moved away and came back and visited. I remember he had this one tattoo like on his calf. I'm like, oh, I got a tattoo. I remember coming back a year or two later, and he's like, tattoos everywhere. It's like, I mean, it's artwork, and artwork that you get to look at, and I don't, I don't have an issue with it. So don't think me. I'm the last person that's going to judge anybody for that kind of stuff. Because let me talk about this. Hold on. Hold on. Oops. I don't even need these headphones on. I'm not listening to anything. All this time I got the headphones on. What I can tell is when I'm not. I can hear the microphone when I have the headphones on, so I can tell when I'm not